After a long time of the community asking, we finally have a Fiat on the farm. This also comes with the premium expansion, the Fiat 160-90DT, a old school tractor that looks absolutely phenomenal, especially in red. The white tires I feel really set this tractor off, to be honest. Aesthetically, it is stunning. At base, it does come with 160 horsepower, a manual and power shift gearbox, 180 litres fuel capacity, and a top speed of a rather impressive 40 kilometers per hour. At base, this tractor will set you back £92,250, but honestly, the amount of tractor you get for that, it's kind of worth it. This will be able to do most of the smaller cultivating, some ploughing. It will be able to do most grassland care and a little bit of carting as well. If you so desire, you can take the engine all the way up to 180 horsepower, meaning that you'll be able to do some rolling and some more heftier cultivating as well. The engine setup will cost you an extra £10,000 on top, but the extra power is worth it in my opinion. You obviously have all of your different wheel setups as well, and you can have a fender on the front or not. The fenders do look rather awesome and only add £750 to the total cost. You can have a front loader attacher as well, so you can do some other bits and pieces on the farm with honey and pallets of eggs and things, which is always a plus. This is a really fantastic tractor and I really love how it looks. The UNIA Apollo 16 Premium is certainly cleaner than the produce that it carries. This is a new manure spreader being added to the game, and honestly it's rather kind of cool and will work really well for the fields on Zalonka. It has a carrying capacity of 20,000 litres, weighs a rather hefty 5.9 tonnes, and you will require 150 horsepower to pull this thing along. When spreading, it will have a mass width of 12 meters, and you will be able to go 16 kilometers per hour when running this thing. It's a really handsome beast, and even though it doesn't carry a lot, I feel that the 12-meter spreading range will make it really useful and be able to get a lot out of it on your animals on the farm when going on Salonka. It will cost you £50,000 at base, which is a fairly hefty price, but if you see this in the discount store, then definitely 100% do pick it up. This is a cracking little trailer. The UNIA Ares XL is a new disc harrow coming to farm sim. Disc harrows of course allow you to cultivate the field, or does the same job as a cultivator, but generally speaking for less power requirements, and you generally get a little bit more bang for your buck money wise. This thing will cost you £21,000 but does have a 4.5 meter width and only requires 150 horsepower to pull. This is rather less than the cultivator of similar size, which requires generally 160 to 180 horsepower and only has around a 4 meter width. This is a cracking little addition to the farm and looks really good. Unia seem to be a really nice brand as well. £21,000 is a bargain for this piece of equipment. The Zetor Crystal 16045 is one of the older style tractors that have come to the farm with the premium expansion. This beautiful little tractor really does look the part and really sets the mood. Brilliant for smaller farms with tiny fields, great for baling and other grassland care, some light carting. It does come with 150 horsepower, a manual gearbox, 195 litres fuel capacity, and a rather tiny top speed of 25 kilometers per hour. This thing also weighs a rather hefty 5 tons. It will be perfect for the job on the farm, and it's not that expensive either. Comes with a total price of £55,500 before upgrades. You can of course change the wheel setups. The wheel weights I feel would be very useful. You can even have rear twin tires as well, and twin tires at the front. Narrow tires and then back to standard. You can have a front weight on this, but no 3-point attacher, unfortunately, and the weights do go all the way up to 640 kilos. And then as an added bonus, you can change the main color between Zetor Red or Zetor Blue. I think my personal preference is the blue. However, it's down to personal preference, that one, and yeah, this is a really cute tractor and a really good addition to your farm. The Farmtech DDK 2400 is a trailer I have been very, very excited for since I learned about it. This is another carting trailer with a dolly hitch on the front. However, it has the ability to become a bale trailer. This means that there is now 3 options to choose from, and this one is £9,000 cheaper than the Bratner, and only, I think it's something like £15,000 more expensive than the Winea. It doesn't seem to have that much difference in length. However, if you are going to use it as an actual carrying trailer, it does have a little bit less capacity than the Bratner. This is a fantastic looking little trailer, and it will definitely see you well on the farm. It's a little bit lower and a little bit more easy to access than the Bratner as well, and you do get a lot more customization options with it. The one thing I will say about this trailer is I've noticed that there does seem to be a little bug where even when you have everything off it and it says that it's not going to cost you any more money, it still adds £1,250 on as an added option, and I can't see where that option is or how to get rid of it. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if there's something that there is a bug with the game. You can also change the cover color if you have it on to a yellow. I personally do prefer the white, but overall, for a really versatile trailer that can get many jobs done, this is a cracking buy. The Farmet Falcon 6 Pro Fert Plus is the Farmet entry into seeding and fertilizing. With a whopping 6,000 litre capacity and a fairly hefty 9-ton weight, you will require 220 horsepower to pull this thing. At standard 6-metre width, it's a fair contender against the Pottinger and the Vaderstad. It does cost you £111,000, but honestly, the carrying capacity of this kind of makes it worth it, as it's a really nice in-between price of the two. This is a really very nice looking seeder, and it will definitely get the jobs done on any farm you do. I'm not sure that I would buy this over the Pottinger brand new, but if this came up in the discount store, it would be a very easy buy. It's a little bit lower than the Pottinger, and it's a little bit thinner when compacted away, but they are generally just aesthetic changes. This is a really nice seeder that would be a great addition on any farm. The Farmet Fantom 1250 Pro is a bit of an anomaly. This is like the younger brother of the Compactomat, being that it is smaller. However, this is, from the looks of things, a deep cultivator as opposed to a shallow cultivator, and that is why it requires 50 more horsepower than the rather whopping 15-meter wide Compactomat. This will, however, be a lot cheaper, as it only costs you £102,000, and it does weigh a whopping 14.4 tons. It does give you a width of 12.3 meters, and honestly, this is a really big contender against the SamASZ K12-200, which up till now has been my favorite cultivator to buy. At only £1,000 more, you do get an extra 0.3 meters width, and the only problem with it is that the SamASZ only requires 375 horsepower to pull, whereas this one requires a whopping 550. Still, if I've got the tractor for it, I will probably take this because this is just a really nice piece of kit. The UNIA FENIX 3000-4 is a fantastic bargain for your farm. This direct drill is quaint and a little bit narrow, but does everything that its bigger counterparts do. And on a farm like Zelonka, where the fields are fairly narrow, this is going to be a really good addition. It's got an interesting hitch system where you've got sort of like an extra dolly wheel here. I'm not sure how much I actually like that, whether I prefer it to just have a normal hitch or not, but it's an interesting innovation nonetheless. It has 3,000 carrying capacity, although it is just for seeds only and does not have the ability to add a fertilizer to it, which definitely does depreciate its value in my opinion. It weighs a whopping 6.5 tons and will require 140 horsepower to pull it, but that's not a huge requirement in the grand scheme of things. It is only 3 meters wide, which can be a problem, but it will run at 15 kilometers per hour. The biggest plus for this machine is that it only costs £55,000. That is a lot of machine for not a lot of money. I used this for a contract recently, and I honestly fell in love. It did the job really quickly, and the 3,000 litre capacity really lasted. You can generally get around 3 to 4 fields done with one tank full, and that for me is a massive win. I would not pass this up if you see this on the farm and you want to get seeding done quickly without the hassle of cultivating as well. The fact that it has a direct drill means that you can generally use less power and get the same amount of jobs done, considering that cultivators do require apparently a lot more power than a disc harrow. The SamASZ P8-890 is a really nice medium spec tetherer. It stands at 8.9 meters wide and only requires 60 horsepower to run. This makes it really accessible and a really good addition to your farm for a map like Zelonka, which has a lot of smaller fields on it. The price at £16,500 is not too bad, and you can add a boundary spreading system as well if you so desire, which is a really nice addition, and it only adds £800 to the total cost. This is going to be a fantastic piece of kit that you're going to get a lot of use out of, and again, it's always nice to see a new brand being added to Farm Sim with a expansion release. I really like this tether, and if it wasn't for the fact that I tend to use bigger maps, which means I use the big 17-18 meter width Pottinger tether, this would be a very high contender for me to use early game. The Lizard Pickup 1984 is a cute and quaint little pickup truck that comes with the premium expansion. Enough room in the back for a couple of crates of eggs, or maybe a pallet or two of wool, a couple of crates of carrots, etc. that you could use for a small farm like there is one on Zelonka. It comes with a numerous amount of customization options and is pretty cheap at base at just £19,500. It has 90 horsepower, a manual gearbox, 60 litres of fuel, and still a rather impressive 80 kilometers per hour top speed. You can change the wheel setup to a standard 3, standard 2, or just standard. You can change the main colour to any colour you so desire. You can change the design colour, which will change the bed of the pickup, and then you can change the rim colours as well to make something apparently wholly horrible. This is a pretty good truck and a strong contender for your first car on the farm to get about. With all the upgrades and everything, it will take the price to £22,500. The Gorenc Puler 450 is another new brand being added to Farm Sim with the addition of the premium expansion. This little weeder is really nice and very cheap. It only has a 4.5 meter width, but with Zelonka being the main map that this is probably intended for, it's not really that much of an issue, considering there are a lot of small, thin and very narrow fields on the map. It only requires 45 horsepower, which means a lot of the smaller tractors will pull this just fine, and it only again costs you £4,000. I really like the way this thing looks as well. The colour scheme is really nice and goes with the machinery really well, and it weighs less than a ton. It only weighs 498 kilos. This is a tiny piece of equipment that you can still get a hell of a lot of use for. The price is definitely the most appealing thing for me, considering I normally buy the Einbach Pneumatic Star K900, which comes with a seeder as well and does have double the length, but it's also £19,000 close to it. This is a cracking deal for any farm that just wants a weeder with no mess, no fuss, and no power requirement. The Gorenc Puler 600 is the 450's bigger older brother. This thing adds another meter or 2 meters width to the total width of the weeder, and it also adds £2,500 to the cost. The colour scheme is still exactly the same, obviously, and you do require a little bit more horsepower to pull it at 60. The 6 meter width is rather nice. However, I would probably still say I would pay the extra money for the Einbach, just because you get 9 meters width and the seeder included. However, if you don't want to spend all that money and you are just looking for a weeder, this is a fantastic buy. And again, I really like the way these things look. It's a great addition to the Farm Sim franchise, and it's always good to see a new brand being added with a new expansion. The SamASZ is a front end mower that comes with the premium DLC. The KDF 341S at 3.4 meters wide. It's a little bit wider than standard mowers that come with the game, and it does as a result require 110 horsepower to use. Overall, it's not a bad little addition to the premium DLC, especially when you couple it with the SamASZ KDD 94 STH. This is a whopping rear mower that you can use on the back of your tractor in conjunction with the smaller mower on the front, and this has a total width of 9.4 meters and will require a rather whopping 220 horsepower. This mower combo does look really nice with the bright colors and everything, and it's nice to see a new brand entering into farm sim for grassland care. You will also be able to go a rather blistering 22 kilometers per hour when using this, which is pretty damn good and almost as good as the Krone Big M. The Farmet Softer 11PS is one of the larger pieces of equipment that come available with the premium expansion. This disc harrow weighs a whopping 9.2 tons and requires 330 horsepower to pull it. However, for that you do get a rather astounding 10.5 meter whip and a rather impressive 18 kilometers per hour speed when being in use. This thing is also fairly cheap for how much you get, and it's only £95,000. The Farmet stuff does seem to be pretty damn good with the compactor mat that I was using on Oberthal. This is really a very solid choice if you want to get away with getting a bit more width without that much power. The Farmet stuff is a welcome addition to the premium expansion, as it's always nice seeing well-loved brands adding to their collection. This is a really good piece of kit that you can get a lot of use out of on your farm, especially if you go with something like Zonka. You're going to be doing your fields in literal minutes. The Salek Winea 57 HTD Excellent is a rather good looking tractor. At only 59 horsepower though, you are going to be very limited on what you can do on the farm, and only has a top speed of 30 kilometers per hour. A tiny fuel tank at only 20 liters and a manual gearbox means that you are not going to be getting anywhere quickly. However, for small jobs on dairy farms or carting very light equipment around, this could be a good tractor for a small farm all the less. Unfortunately, you don't get any customization options with this tractor at all. As nice as the styling is, I would probably prefer to change the colour, although it is a rather mean looking thing. At £21,000 exactly, I'm not sure if it is worth the money. However, if you are looking for something that's more stylish than useful, more form over function, this is going to be the tractor for you.